Welcome to Staying Wild, the wild episode, our bonus one every Thursday. Joining me is my very reluctant co-host, Wolfie. Her eyes are rolling. As you can see, she is loving staying wild as she literally just run off. Today we have realization insight I had, then we have unhinged moments, and before that, I'm answering 3 questions. Now my co-host has left me. I'm going for a cuter aesthetic. Okay, so how do we stay wild? I got influenced by a visit Sognefjord with a D&T cabin called Tungestålen. Norwegians are probably cringing right now at my pronunciation. It's a beautiful cabin in the middle of nowhere. We headed there Saturday morning. I was super psyched. They had cappuccinos and lattes. If you're in London, if you're in England, you're like, oh, so what? In Norway, it's difficult to get a good coffee. I had a cappuccino in this stunning view of glaciers, mountains, and luscious green grass valleys, bluebird sky. It was amazing. We set off on a hike/trail run to this glacier called Austdalsbreen, which was absolutely wonderful and everything we could have hoped for. Just playing around, I was dancing, she was dancing with me. The energy was just vibing. Ran back, had another coffee before setting out on our next adventure. As I'm walking out the door, I was like, I'm just going to go do this hike, Midt-Norway. That'll be like 3 hours, right? And he's like, no, it's more 6 to 8. And maybe I will buy some more snacks then. So we set off on this beautiful hike. The beginning is Sound of Music vibes, fields, cows, sunshine and glaciers. About an hour and a half in, where I should be at the bottom of the trail to go up, I am bushwhacking. It is horrendous. There are bugs everywhere, spider webs, deep bush. I'm like, this fucking sucks. After 2 hours of being lost, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. I was having a meltdown about being on my own yet again on a solo adventure. I'm all down for solo adventures. I've traveled, worked around the world all on my own. I'm now 33 and I have to say I'm getting bored. Not bored. I've never felt lonely before, but for some reason, the last couple of months, it's been probably 6 months actually, having had the severe depression with the PMDD, healed that, then shit going down at Christmas was so horrible. It's like I'm now constantly doing adventures on my own. I'm an only child. I've been on my own my entire life and I'm just done, to be honest. I am so done. I was just having this massive meltdown. It felt like this whole loneliness, isolation was like crushing down on me. It would just be so much better if there was a person here with me, especially if I had a boyfriend. I was like, why is no one entering my life who wants what I want, you know, who's aligned with that? I was full down crying at this point. I kid you not, 2 or 3 minutes later, I then bump into this guy who's also lost on the same trail, going to the same mountain. I cannot emphasize how much in the middle of nowhere I am and how unlikely it is to meet anyone in this valley. I had to put my sunglasses back on because I was like, okay, you can't see that I've been crying. I put my sunglasses back on. Hi, are you going to Midt-Norway? He's like, yeah. I was like, can I come with you? This is how I tend to make friends. Hey, will you literally be my friend? He's like, yes, let's go together. Do you know where we're going? He's like, no. And I was like, I don't know either. In this weird forest, there looked like there was lots of trails, but there weren't really any trails. We get to this waterfall. There's just so much water coming down. I was still kind of coming out of this emotional release. My energy and optimism wasn't the best. Wolfie hates water. I was like, this is too much for me to deal with. But he was so sweet, so determined that after trying so many times to cross and having to whack through all this frickin' bush, we finally found these places. We had to do 4 quite strong river crossings. Wolfie, for someone who hates the water, was like, let's go. Finally, after hours, we find the red teas. Oh my God, alleluia, there is a trail. I cannot tell you how happy I was. It wasn't smooth sailing because in certain parts it was very hard. The red dots that you follow in Norway for these D&T trails, they just would disappear. And then we were slipping and sliding over rock and really wet undergrowth. I think we were quite close to the top, but we had to turn around. It was 8 o'clock by this point. We'd been going 5 hours. He was tired, I was tired. We'd had some really fun conversation. We'd been snacking. but both of us were under prepared in terms of expectations. I thought, honestly, it'd just be a really fun, easy hike. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so lost. / having an existential crisis. So then we're like, you know what, we don't need to get to the summit. It's fine. I was quite worried about the down, considering the way we'd come up. I cannot tell you how relieved I was when I found the trail. How did we miss this? The trail going down was so obvious, so easy. I was like, I love you, universe. We had the best time. It was beautiful, it was magical. But what divine timing that we both got lost. We both wanted to go to the same mountain. Somehow in our lostness, in the middle of nowhere, we found each other. We'd have turned around if we hadn't bumped into each other. It got quite sketchy in different places, which is out of my comfort zone, and I want to be with someone. If we hadn't been brought together in such divine timing, neither of us would have made it this far. I feel it's such a lesson in sometimes I was talking to a podcast guest, and like, sometimes life is just shit. You just have to let the feelings out. That's part of being wild, it's part of being tough, is just accepting this is how we're feeling. It's not ignoring, it's not suppressing, it's not avoiding the feelings. It's just been like, this is how I feel. It's about letting it out in a healthy way. It's also about knowing your limits. Following your wild isn't following your inner knowing into unsafe situations. Actually, you know what, this is my limit, and I'm going to turn around now, and maybe I find a better option, or I find a plan C that I didn't know I need. It's also about, which I'm not the best at, trusting the universe. Because I was honestly saying to the universe in my meltdown, like, I just want to have someone to do this fucking adventure, life with, yes, but like an adventure with. I just want someone to do it with. And then this man appears to me. I was like, oh my God. The universe is always listening to you and responding, but maybe the way it's responding is just not how we want. It's not on our timeline, but it is listening and it is responding. Sometimes we just have to trust that. Sometimes it's just frustrating and annoying at the same time. But I thought maybe that will resonate with some of you. It also highlighted to me, I was interviewing this really amazing podcast guest called Finn from Hallo Lingen. I was asking a question. If you want to do a private group, which I would love to do with similar fitness levels, how do you make that happen when you don't have the friends? He's like, you're literally asking me how to make friends. I was like, I guess I am. What is interesting about my situation? Hopefully it makes someone feel less alone, because I was really badly bullied at school. I never really fitted in. I had to accept the bullying. If I didn't accept her in the group, then I would have to leave and I would have no friends. There was a lot of unfair treatment until I left school. I didn't really come out of school with that many friends. Life happens. I got a chronic illness for 3 or 4 years. That really shows you who your friends are. Then I traveled the world. I didn't have anyone to go with, which again is fine. I just had lots of friends like dotted around the place. The last couple of years, I've been chronically ill again. You can't make new friends. You don't have the capacity. It's hard to have the capacity to maintain old friends. So then I have lost contact with some of them, which is really sad. I'm in a position when I'm 33, moved around a lot, traveled a lot, been ill a lot, and I don't have that many friends anymore, especially those with shared interests. The ones I do have are phenomenal. They're the best people in the world. I'm so grateful for them. I would just love to have a group of friends or 2 or 3 friends where I'm like, hey, do you want to go skiing today? Or do you want to go and do this hike? Do you want to go camping? Do you want to go on a road trip with me? And they say yes. I have to use Instagram for my work. I probably wouldn't be on social media otherwise, because it really highlights to me the fact that there is people out there who have a lot of friends and who have friends to do stuff with, whereas I'm more often than not, it feels quite constant at the moment, having to do stuff on my own, having to go to Strand on my own, going to Tungstollen on my own. I want to go on this road trip in the summer, but it's like, I've got to go on my own again. It just feels sad, to be honest. So some of the wild that I'm currently navigating is really choosing stuff that aligns and deciding maybe I don't want to go on a road trip for 2 months on my own because it's just like a bit sad, or maybe I want to book onto stuff so I meet people, but then that's challenging when you have a dog. She gives me company, but at the same time you can't just go away traveling for 3 weeks. That's all about choices as well. I'm very satisfied with the choice I've made, but it's now navigating this wildness to satisfy how I want to live my life. At the same time, accepting other parts which aren't that great at the moment. I'm sharing it because it's a bit sad actually. It's a bit embarrassing, but I think it will resonate with some of you. I just hope it feels like you're not alone in this challenge, especially when you're wanting to do new hobbies and make new friends. It can be a bit scary to do that, honestly, and especially living in Norway, doing this on my own, it has been so challenging. I think when you're in your 30s and your 40s, starting something new, it is difficult because everyone already has their friendship groups. They're not looking to make friends. I ignore all social rules. I literally force my way into people's lives. So don't be embarrassed to do that. It is a necessity. When you align with the right people, it just clicks. It just flows. It's one of the best feelings in the world. Friendships I've made in my adult life, when they've just happened, it's been life-changing. I am so grateful to them. That was just a realization I had this week that I thought would help you, and how I am navigating that. It is about accepting it, not about avoiding and suppressing your feelings, which I see so many people doing. There's really feeling, accepting, and moving forward in the best way possible that's going to make you happy. On to questions now. I had a client ask me this, and I think it will resonate and land with quite a few of you. The question was, have I genuinely lost empathy, or is it just that I've realized I can't fix or help others and then I detach more? For this client, she's been under such a stressful and pressured 6 months, but this whole situation was going on a year and a half, 2 years before. When you've been under so much stress and pressure and your work is HR, you're having to manage expectations, emotions, and you need to fix things. It can be challenging to get this balance between helping and detaching, because we need both in order to be our best selves. We can't be everything for everyone, and it's not our responsibility to fix other people's problems. It is their responsibility, but we can show up in the situation in our best way. So I said to her, because you've experienced trauma with the boss creating an unsafe environment, you're in survival mode, you're fighting for yourself every single day, you're standing up for others as well. It's remembering that you have done so well. Celebrate how well you have done, how brilliantly you've stood in your power. You want to find evidence that you've done really well, that you're doing your best. That's really important. And then to recognize and celebrate that. For her, what's really important to remember is, because when she started working with me, she said to stand in her power, recognize unfair treatment, and be like, actually, I'm not the crazy one. I am doing my best. I am a good person. That then triggered a whole company restructure. Other people have come forward to say, I've also had to seek help, or I was also feeling unsafe. Thank you so much. She triggered that. When we're thinking, maybe I've lost empathy, maybe I'm not a good person anymore, look for evidence that contradicts that, because our brain is really great at editing our reality to create one that reflects what we say to ourselves the most. It's not what helps us, it's what we're saying to ourselves the most. So if we're saying to ourselves, I'm a crazy person, I'm not helping people, that will be what your reality around you is creating. And it may not be the truth, but it's your brain's current version of the truth. We have to guide it to create evidence and be like, hey, actually, we're looking for this today. We're looking at how have I been empathetic? How have I been in my power? How have I been good to myself and to other people? But remember, in order to show up for others, you have to fill up your cup first. The second thing I told her was, although the unsafeness has gone, the outcome for the company is still uncertain. So you're still operating in uncertainty, which I think a lot of us in today's world can connect with. Empathy is like a muscle. When we go through emotional trauma, we can become numb to so many things because it's the body and the brain's way of protecting you. Something quite big has to happen in order to trigger emotions and empathy. We have a new bar being set. It's just about letting time heal and consciously healing those different layers of trauma and releasing it. I said to protect yourself, you're detaching, so it feels like you're less empathetic, but actually you're just being there for yourself. And that's the most important thing you can do, is being there for yourself, still showing up in the best way you can with your current capacity for others. That's all we can ever ask of ourselves. I gave her some questions to reflect on. What does empathy mean to you? You want to be thinking in an objective way, which is why I ask, out of 10, 10 being brilliantly, how well do you think you handled the current situation? So for her, it's layoffs. Are you satisfied with how you're handling people's emotions and expectations during this difficult time? What energy and feelings would you like to be showing up in? So again, we're guiding our brain to how we want to be showing up. Just remember, empathy isn't about taking on people's feelings. It's about showing up as your best and managing the situation as best you can, giving people what they need, but not fixing them or not feeling the pressure to fix them, because that is ultimately their responsibility. In order to create change, that person has to realize, I want to create change. I want to respond in a different way. You can just set them up to have the best experience possible given the situation, but you can't make people behave in a certain way. It's important we recognize that, set someone up for the best situation that supports and is aligned for us as well. Next question. Why do I keep burning out even though I've tried everything? better habits, boundaries, even other therapies. I have clients coming to me, I've tried other therapies, I've tried meditation, saying no more, the let them theory, but nothing is shifting. I'm still stuck in the same loop. Or maybe you experience a positive change for a little bit, but then everything collapses again. I described this in the last 2 masterclasses. When we're looking at creating change, gurus tell us you need better habits, you need to say no more, you need to just let them. You need to meditate more, eat better, exercise more. But these are all very surface level changes. For some people that can work. It can solve challenges they've been facing. But for a lot of us, including myself, I've tried those things. My clients have tried those things, but it can be very difficult to create the change. You feel like you're always battling something. You're always in this like win-lose situation. Maybe you win for a few days and you lose for a week. You get yourself stuck in this very frustrating loop where you feel like you're meant for more, but for some reason you just stay stuck doing things you don't want to be doing. If we think about a glacier, the glacier that we see, that is the habits. That's what our life is looking like. Below that, remember, the majority of the glacier is underwater. And that is our environment. This is where that pyramid of change comes in. If you've listened to the masterclasses, it's about our environment. Then we have the habits and behaviors, responses, and then the things running the show are the beliefs and identities. And if you don't address these 2 things, you're always going to feel like you're in this tug of war. I've had clients come to me when their 60th birthday is next year. They want that year to be where they get their weight under control, where they fit into their really sexy triathlon suit. Or they're in their 40s and they've been given a deadline by the surgeon or the physio. This is the weight they have to lose. It triggers them. They put on weight and they're like, oh my God, like I know what I have to be doing. I'm I'm intelligent, I'm a capable person, but I can't do this. And that's because it's your beliefs and identities that are running the show. That's where you need to create change. These will come up in I am statements. Often when I'm having clients, especially around weight loss, they identify as I am a heavy person. I am not a rower. I am not an athletic person. These identities will steer your ship. Because if you believe you're a heavy person, if you identify as a heavy person, your habits will be of that person. You want to start thinking, and I give you these questions in the last 2 masterclasses. How do I want to identify? Who do I want to identify as? These are big questions you're asking. Who am I? You're not going to answer these overnight. You might have a realization and a breakthrough, but this is layers we are going through, and it will take time to find out, who am I? How do I want to exist in the world? How do I want to show up? How do I want to identify? You'll find through different stages of our life, these identities also change. It's important to start thinking, who do I not want to be and who do I want to be? What does that version, what does that identity believe? I believe that when I eat healthy, I will be happy. Is that going to be true for you? Do we want to be happy when we meet some weight, or do you want to be happy now? We want to really question these beliefs. Make sure our beliefs are serving us, they're working for us, and they're not working against us. It can be very challenging to see them because we describe them in our world as fact, as truth. The world is flat. That was a collective belief for a very long period of time. Only when there was a cascade of evidence against that was that belief overturned. When you are talking to someone who has a belief, they are illogical. When you're fighting with someone who has such a strong belief, they'll just dig their heels and their head further and further in the sand. Oh, that person is so stubborn. They just have very strong beliefs. They're not willing to let that go, whether that serves them or doesn't serve them. You want to really be thinking, what do I want to believe? What do I believe now that is stopping me from creating progress? I really recommend watching the last 2 masterclasses. What if slowing down means I fall behind? This is such a common belief in a high achiever. When I slow down, I will fall behind. This is that X equals Y outcome belief. We really want to start turning that on our heads. We want to first of all look for evidence where that actually isn't true. If we are always go, 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 we're never resting. This is where burning out, this is where the body will eventually say, you have to stop. People are like, oh, but I've been like this for 10 years. There's usually cracks forming, symptoms that are being ignored. We're not facing them, and actually we're suppressing a lot. It's really important to start to think, what does falling behind mean to you? What are you scared about? Because there's fears coming up. Why do you want to slow down? What does slowing down mean to you? Do you need to slow down? Or actually with this whole question, Do we just need to rephrase it and ask different, better questions? Do I need to rest more in order to perform better? Pro athlete, as I've said before, needs rest in order to perform. It is a fact, and that's also a belief. We need to start understanding what is our beliefs around rest and recharging. Do we rest and recharge enough? Is how we're operating in a sustainable way. And sometimes we need to go through sprints. So if I'm sprinting, am I recharging at the end of that in a way that means that I can sprint again or carry on and not hit this brick wall or not crash and burn out? If you're scared about falling behind, where is it you want to get to? I had this in Masterclass 1 where I drew where you are now, where you're getting stuck, where you are now, where do you want to get to? What does this journey look like? What is that journey to what you want to achieve? What does that look like? What are the habits you need to do to achieve that? What are the beliefs? What are the behaviors? What are the responses you need in order to achieve that? We're really actually asking a different question. How can I achieve my goal in the most sustainable, enjoyable, best way possible? Now for unhinged moments, my favorite segment.
This week I asked for the most unhinged dating moments, as I got a truly horrifying one on Hinge I will share in a moment. We want to be thinking things that made you pause and think, did he really just say that out loud? And I have to say, you guys delivered. Did he really just say that out loud? I got this one on Hinge. I've always wanted to go to Australia, cities like Adelaide, but I guess going down under would be fairly great here too. I mean, if that's not going to get me to swipe right, I don't know what will. Did he really just say that out loud? You smell fertile. Like, what? Did he really just say that out loud? He told his mate he was tired of having sex with me, so he hooked up with another man. Stay classy, guys. Did he really just say that out loud? On the first date, a guy asked me if I could at least open my mind up to the idea of participating in golden showers with him. Yikes. Did he really just say that out loud? It got to that point where you either start going out or you cut ties. And he said to me he needs to taste more cakes in order to practice so that he can then be in a relationship with me. I'm not sure if sleeping with more women will help you prepare for a relationship, but sounds like he dodged a bullet. Did he really just say that out loud? He misrepresented his height and voice and then suddenly says, I'm married, but my wife and I have an open marriage. I ran off 10 minutes after. That's fair enough. I would be doing the same. Did he really just say that out loud? He kept mentioning how we could go on dates so he could kill me. Let's go on a date where we can try street foods and then I can hide your dead body in a ditch. Like, what? She says that she promptly reported and blocked him. Smart. I mean, that sounds like you'd become a Netflix documentary. That is insane. Thank you so much for submitting your unhinged moments. I love them. I hope you as a listener are enjoying them as much as I am. I listen to this podcast who does similar things. That's where I stole the idea from. Called The Relatables. I think they're an awesome podcast. Go and listen to these guys. The ones they get are so good. So I'm really manifesting with more episodes, more momentum, more listeners. We're going to get really great engagement and even funnier and more brilliant. I mean, these are already awesome, but a lot more of these unhinged things. I will post in my Instagram stories every week a new unhinged moment for you to get involved with. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe, rate, review, follow, comment. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, rest of your day, and remember to submit your dilemmas too. The link is in the show notes. Have a wonderful day.